Hey, welcome back to Zeitgeist. I'm Zuri, here with Alistair.
And today we're talking about what just happened to half the country. Let's get into it.
So, if you've been anywhere in the eastern two-thirds of the United States this past week, you probably noticed a massive winter storm just tore through over 40 states, affecting 230 million people. That's nearly half the country under winter weather alerts at the same time.
Wait, 230 million? That's not a storm. That's like continental.
It really is. This thing stretched 1,500 miles, from the plains through the deep south and all the way up the east coast. Heavy snow, freezing rain, ice accumulation, sub-zero temperatures. Some areas got over an inch of solid ice on everything. Trees, power lines, roads.
An inch of ice doesn't sound like much, but that's catastrophic, right?
Completely catastrophic. Ice is incredibly heavy. When it coats tree branches and power lines, things start snapping. That's exactly what happened. At the peak of this storm, over 1 million customers lost power. By Monday morning, 800,000 homes and businesses were still in the dark.
Which states got hit the hardest?
Tennessee and Mississippi took the worst of it. Tennessee had over 250,000 people without power. Mississippi had nearly 300,000. Oxford, Mississippi basically got paralyzed. Over an inch of ice accumulation there. And then you've got Louisiana, Texas, and pockets all the way up into the northeast dealing with outages too.
Okay, I have to ask. What about Texas? After what happened in 2021, everyone's watching their grid.
Actually, good news there. The Texas grid held up. Governor Abbott said it performed, quote, flawlessly through the tightest conditions. ERCOT, that's the grid operator, was closely watching because demand got very close to available supply, but they managed it. There were some localized outages, about 19,000 customers at one point, but nothing like the systemic collapse we saw in 2021.
So they actually learned something from that disaster?
Seems like it. They weatherized equipment, improved coordination. It's not perfect. People still lost power, but the grid itself didn't fail. That's a big deal.
What about the human cost? I've been seeing numbers, but they keep changing.
At least 25 people have died. The deaths are spread across multiple states: Tennessee, Louisiana, Texas, Kansas, Massachusetts. Most are from car accidents on icy roads, but there are also cases of hypothermia and other exposure-related deaths. These storms are genuinely deadly. And the cold that follows can be just as dangerous as the storm itself.
And travel was basically impossible?
Brutal. Over 12,000 flights got cancelled, with thousands more delayed. Some of the busiest airports in the country were basically shut down. And on the roads, officials in multiple states were telling people, do not drive unless it's a genuine emergency. The ice made conditions too dangerous.
So what actually caused this? I keep hearing polar vortex, but I don't think most people know what that actually means.
Great question. So the polar vortex is basically a ring of strong winds that sits over the Arctic. Normally, it acts like a fence. It keeps the extremely cold air trapped up there away from us. But sometimes the vortex weakens and gets wobbly. When that happens, it stretches. And lobes of that Arctic air spill southward.
Like a dam breaking?
More like a chunk of ice breaking off a glacier and floating south. One meteorologist used that exact analogy. The cold air that's normally locked over the Arctic just migrates down into the continental US. And when that cold air meets moisture, you get what we just experienced.
Is this a one-time thing, or should people be worried about more?
Here's the concerning part. Forecasters are saying the polar vortex is expected to weaken again. There could be a second Arctic blast coming, and some models suggest it might be even more extreme than this one. Temperatures across the affected regions are already running 10 to 20 degrees below average, and that could continue.
So this isn't over?
Not yet. FEMA has activated emergency response resources. The FCC turned on their disaster information reporting system to track communications infrastructure. State and local governments are leading the response on the ground. But for the hundreds of thousands still without power, the next few days are going to be really hard.
What should people actually do if they're in one of these affected areas?
Follow local emergency alerts. If you don't have power, find a warming centre. Most cities have them set up. Don't try to heat your home with a gas stove or oven. That's a carbon monoxide risk. Layer up, check on elderly neighbours, and if you absolutely have to drive, go slow and assume every surface is icy. Black ice is invisible and deadly.
It feels like these extreme weather events are happening more often. Is that just perception, or is there something to it?
There's something to it. Climate scientists have been studying the connection between warming in the Arctic and these polar vortex disruptions. The relationship is complex and still being researched, but the basic idea is that as the Arctic warms faster than the rest of the planet, the temperature difference that keeps the polar vortex stable gets weaker. That could mean more of these extreme cold outbreaks, even as the planet overall gets warmer.
That's counterintuitive. Warming causes more extreme cold?
I know. It sounds backwards. But weather systems are driven by temperature differences, not absolute temperatures. When you mess with those differences, you get instability, more extreme swings in both directions. It's not settled science yet, but it's a real hypothesis that a lot of researchers are taking seriously.
So bottom line, where does this leave us?
Right now, recovery mode. Utility crews are working around the clock to restore power, but when you've got ice-covered trees on top of power lines, it takes time. The good news is the Texas grid held this time. The bad news is 25 people are dead, hundreds of thousands are still in the cold, and there might be more coming. If you're in an affected area, stay safe, stay warm, and keep an eye on the forecasts.
We'll keep tracking this as it develops. If you found this helpful, hit subscribe so you don't miss what comes next.
Thanks for watching. This is Zeitgeist.